Hey! Good morning, everybody. So my name is Marko Kangas and I'm from Finland. First time here in Croatia. Very nice to be here. I don't know how much you know about Finland, but a few years ago I had a walk in Helsinki, which is capital of Finland. And there's a quite big square next to the big mall. It's not that big that you think, because Finland is not a big country and squares are not big, but it's big for me. And somehow I got the idea, and I tried to look people to their eyes while I'm walking through the square. And it was rush hour, and I met and I passed maybe 200 people on the way. And one person really looked at me. One. If we think about democracy, if we think about good societies, I have a feeling that we are lacking connections between the people. We have a lot of connections, but we have loads of connections with the people we are liking, a lot of connections with the people we are thinking the same. But we are lacking the connections with the people who we disagree with, and with those people when we are trying to discuss and solve really complex problems. And if we are not managing to solve this problem, I really think that it's really difficult to create good societies and good democracies. So what is democracy? I think it should be that we as citizens should have at least some power to influence what is happening around us. And the very smallest thing is that our voice should be heard and we should be seen. And if we think democracy, this should happen to all of us. Not just for those people who think in the right way. Not just for those people who are part of the society. So also for those people who are racist, also for those people who are criminals, also for those people who are outside of society. I worked as a process consultant and coach and also trainer in our company from 2001. I mainly work with those people who are working with young people and kids. So not that much with young people, but with social workers, with youth workers, with teachers, also with politicians, journalists. And we have found that there are a few things we are lacking in our societies. I'm from Finland and I can see very clearly in our society what we are lacking. And we are lacking those things, especially then when we are trying to do something together with those people who are thinking differently. And we are really lacking those things when we are trying to solve really difficult, complex problems, which our world is full of, like climate change, radicalization. They are not easy things. We are lacking the thing that we are not able to really work together. We are working together with those people who are nice and who thinks in the same way that we are. But with those people who thinks differently, it's really difficult to work together. And beyond that, we are lacking the skill to think together. Our societies are full of individual thinking. We think that we are right, and we are really eager to say that aloud. And we think very easily that others are wrong. And we think that by saying that, people are changing their minds. But we have noticed that it's not happening that easily that way. If we think that people are changing their minds, just that we say that please, be different, people are really easily just going deeper to their own thinking patterns, and nothing will be changed. So, what is dialogue? Or what I think about dialogue? I think it's something else than just hearing and seeing each other. It is that, but it's radical, polyphonic way and discussion where we're taking really seriously the unique experiences what we all have. We all come from the different background. I'm from Finland, but I can really see that I'm not the same that all other Finnish people who are here. We are different. They are not 44-year-old. I think they don't have wives, maybe. At least the same name that I have. Maybe they don't have 2 kids. They haven't grown in the same place that I have. My experience is very unique if I compare other people's experiences. And dialogue is that, taking seriously the experiences behind the rigid thinking that we all have when we are thinking differently. If we are thinking ourselves, or if we are thinking about racists, very often we think that some thinking patterns are right. But that's not actually true. I argue that there is no such thing than right thinking. In youth work, in training, in coaching, we very often try to change the others and think that we are right. But if someone would look us from the outside, or from the 1,000 year after this time, I would say that our thinking was not perfect. There were some mistakes. So why to try to say to the others that our thinking is right? And as somebody said something about tools, that they are shared. They are not our own. Our thinking is not our own either. My thinking is coming from my parents, it's coming from my friends, it's coming from my experiences. It's not my own thinking. We should get rid of this idea. Dialogue is a way of having discussions where we are not trying to solve anything. We are not trying to make any decisions. We are not trying to find any practices how to proceed. We try to meet other people so they are seen and they are heard. And we try to understand something new about the topic, something new about other people who we are facing, and maybe most importantly, try to understand something new about ourselves and our own thinking. And I have a feeling that we very often forget that. We try to change the others, we try to change and learn something from the topics, but we forget that it's us also who needs to change. No one will change if we are not willing to change also. One thing in dialogue which really helps it working is that we separate those discussions where we need and want to do some agreements, some decisions. And we separate the discussion where we just try to connect with each other, hear how they think and why they think. And why this is working, I don't know what kind of experiences you have, but I've been in many situations where we are within the group and we all need to decide something. And very easily it happens that we are really just digging deeper holes for ourselves and our perspectives because we want certain kind of decision. It's really difficult to be flexible with our thinking patterns if we are trying to decide something. People are much more flexible with their thinking if we give up this decision making and being right for a moment. And this doesn't mean that, of course, in democracies and societies, we need those moments where we actually do something and we decide what's right and what we should do. But if we want to change young people, if we want to change our thinking, we need to give up sometimes those moments that we are trying to achieve something. Other thing is, if we are thinking about complex problems, especially when we are thinking about those situations when there are disagreements. I think good example, at least in Finland, a few years ago, quite a lot of refugees came to Finland, and of course all over Europe. But there are really different perspectives and point of views how to and what we should think about refugees. Tensions are something which should be in dialogues. Normal way, at least in Finland, what we do if there's tension or conflict or disagreement, we fight. We try to win the other. We try to convince the other that my perspective is right and you need to change. I manipulate, I do everything I can so those others can believe that this is the right point of view. Other perspective is that we try to compromise things. Other person is saying that this wall should be blue. But the other person is saying that, oh, red is better. We don't like the anxiety which is coming when there's tensions and conflict, so we agree that purple it is. But the reality is that the purple is not maybe the best solution. Even blue is not maybe the best solution, or red. Maybe green would be the better. If we are not carrying the tensions and disagreements without trying to solve them, it's really difficult to learn. If I just meet people who think very same way than I am, it's really difficult to learn. It's nice to meet people, of course, and it's great, and we should have lots of those moments when we meet people who think in the same way that we do. But if I'm really thinking my own mind and how my thinking is going, it's not that easy to get new ideas. My thinking is not going to be challenged. And learning is something, when something is changing in my mind, I will see the world and other people in a different way. And the best way to do it is by meeting those different people, those different experiences. It's also about how we see ourselves and how we see the other. If we don't see the differences, we just see the similarities. We are not seeing ourselves and other people as a whole. The differences make us special. The differences make us unique. Usually not the similarities. And in democracy, in youth work, in social work, what people are asking most is that they are seen as a whole, a whole human being. And thirdly, if we are using these kind of methods, we should understand that dialogue, it is a tool. But in the same time, it's not a tool. In dialogue, we are the tool. If we go into these kind of processes, we need to understand that as we try to understand more about the topic, and we try to understand more about those people, maybe racists who think in a certain way, and they experience as they are, we also need to think that we may change. That actually the result what we should hope for. Because that way we can also learn something. So, what we think, what we should do, if I imagine myself in the front of the racist, whose values and thoughts are very different than mine, how should I proceed? Should I just try to change the other, which is not often working that well? Or should I think that I really should see and hear the other, and really get interested about the experiences, what are behind these thinking patterns. Am I able to meet those people without trying to change them? Because very often what happens is that if we do that, people are willing to change. Thank you.